You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me.
All right, we are back, AP, for another rider recap episode. I am having so much fun with these.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more. I didn't get to say hi, Murph, and I really am a creature of habit, so I just have to say hi, Murph.
Well, hi, AP.
Thank you. Now I can begin.
Okay.
I have to ask just one quick question. Have you been back on your bike yet since RAGBRAI?
Oh, are you kidding me? Of course.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Just checking.
Have you?
Yes, of course. I have to keep my Zwift streak alive.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been on my bike quite a few times since RAGBRAI, and I still love it.
Yeah. And I have to add that I have been riding outside as well as inside. So yeah, it's awesome. It's a privilege to continue biking even through the end of RAGBRAI season. But all right, so let's get to it. Who is on the podcast this week?
All right. Well, I think we have 4 riders this week.
Ooh.
We've got Bill, then we've got John, who has made an incredible comeback from some health issues. And he was back, and he rode his very first RAGBRAI this year at age 65.
Cool.
Then we have Eldon, who you'll remember this from the ride inspection. There was that really big hill, then the railroad tracks at the bottom, then a really steep uphill. And I believe it wasn't a town, it was more like a village called Lamoille.
Yes, I remember. Yep.
So Eldon, his team actually camped at the top of that hill. They had some family friends.
Oh,
and
cool.
so they sat in the driveway in their lawn chairs, cheering on riders. You know, a lot of people would stop and talk to them. And it's a really good story for him to talk about that.
That's so awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear that one.
And then we also have Kurt. Kurt rode with his family, and he loved the Field of Dreams like many, many riders did. And his grandparents actually drove in to experience Field of Dreams with him and his family.
Oh, cool.
And as a bonus, AP, Kurt's sister is the gal that gave us our bracelets that say "Just Go Bike."
Ah, I know Kurt. I remember these guys. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad he called in.
Cool. Me too. It's a great story.
Yay. Okay. Well, let's get to it.
Hello, Eldon.
Hello.
Tell everybody where you're from and, gosh, if there's like a cycling culture there.
Sure. I currently live in Carmel, Indiana, which is a suburb of Indianapolis. However, I am an Iowa native. Grew up in Iowa, went to college in Iowa, so just now live in Indiana.
And what part of Iowa did you grow up in?
So I actually grew up near Guthrie Center,
Oh.
an overnight town on the route this year. So I spent some time in Atlantic, which is another popular RAGBRAI town,
Yeah.
and then I graduated high school from Stewart, Iowa.
Okay, so you've got quite a few Iowa connections. Have you ever done RAGBRAI before?
I have done several years of a few days. So this was the first year, the whole RAGBRAI experience.
Really? Which I guess that makes sense that you want to be on the podcast to kind of talk about it, right?
Sure. Love talking RAGBRAI. Looking forward to this for a long time. So it was great to actually have the week and had a blast with my friends.
Were you part of a team or a charter, or how did you and your friends hook up?
Sure. So I brought 4 other guys out with me, and we shared an RV for the week. So we took turns driving, but so self-supported, maybe I guess you could say. But yeah, just went across the state with our RV and team of 5.
And were you able to, because I've been on, I guess maybe 2 or 3 RAGBRAIs where we had an RV, and there was nothing better than finding the RV and it's already like 30 degrees inside and everything's, there's food on the grill. Oh, I loved it. But were you able to find electricity, or did you have a generator, or how did you keep the RV going?
A little bit of both. We had an amazing host in Harlan, a gentleman named Kyle, who had hookups at his house. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other stops, we had a mixture of different. Another one of the guys I rode with is also he's from Eastern Iowa. So between him and I, we had quite a few connections throughout the state that we stayed. And while we did not have hookups, we did have a generator. So definitely the RV was a nice amenity to have.
Oh, for sure. And I laugh because there have been people that I've been interviewing that say, this is a camping event, and if you're not camping, you're not doing it right. And I think I've disclosed on the podcast that I actually stay in hotels now for
you're living large, yeah.
Many reasons, yeah. I get to, I should say. So was it a better experience having the RV and a real bed?
Oh, for sure. So the last time we did, the same team with one guy swapped out, did RAGBRAI the 50th, 2023. And we also had a mixture of homes and camping that trip. But I vividly remember, unfortunately, no offense to Timo Toledo, but we camped outside in Toledo that night. And it was like, I don't think it got below 90 that whole night. And it was miserable. So thankfully that next night in Coralville, we were in somebody's house and that huge storm came through.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The RV was definitely a huge upgrade on our overall RAGBRAI experience.
Right, yeah. And, of course, you have to have somebody who's going to drive it, whether you hire a support driver or, like you said, you guys just take turns. But logistics can be a nightmare with an RV.
Yeah, certainly. RAGBRAI in general is a logistical challenge, especially when you're coming from out of state and just coordinating all that stuff. But that's part of the adventure, right? It's figuring all that stuff out. So we're happy to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your year for RAGBRAI 53.
Yeah, I think I saw some of your pre-show questions. Like, those first couple of days were grueling weather, right?
Yeah.
Hills and heat. From Harlan to Guthrie Center was pretty brutal. And that was comparable to our RAGBRAI 50 experience. So, but then we were watching the weather and just hoping that cool front was actually going to become a reality. And when it came in the next day, I'm sure you experienced there were quite a few headwinds that, we don't usually ride north on RAGBRAI, but that day we were riding north. And of course that's the day the wind came directly out of the north.
Yep.
But after that, the weather was amazing. I grew up in Iowa and, experiencing RAGBRAI. And when I was a small kid and come through my town, I can't remember ever RAGBRAI having that kind of weather for sustained number of days. So really a great experience there.
Mm-hmm. And you shared in your messages to us that you had a pretty fun stay on day 4. You have to tell us about that one.
Yeah. So, our overnight host was my cousin, and she lived in a little, I don't know if I call it a village or establishment of Lamoille, which riders may recall was, I think, 6 or 7 miles outside of Marshalltown.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll remember that because it was one of the biggest hills on that day of the ride. And unfortunately, I think at the bottom of the hill, before the hill started, there were railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody had to slow down to cross the tracks and then immediately, trudge up this significant hill. But her house, her name is Ginger, her house was on top of this hill. We were done for the day, so we posted up in the driveway with our chairs and a few adult beverages and just said hello to everybody that came up the hill. So that was just a great experience because people were coming up, honestly, way into the night even. It was kind of crazy how late riders were out on the route. But just everybody came up the hill. It was just had fun stories, were great characters. We met a guy named No Hander Lander. He had a story about how he came up with that name. He was hilarious. We met a guy from the team Squirrel of some sort, and he had a squirrel claw, or what do you call it? I don't know. Yeah, claw, I guess is the right word, around his neck.
Oh my!
And we met a family who, the dad in the family had ridden RAGBRAI 41 years. and just everybody, people had a few choice words at the end of that hill, but everybody was in good spirits and had a good time. And so it was just really great to interact with so many riders. So that was one of the most memorable experiences, just talking to everybody as they got past that hill. And we were just before one of the beer tents as well. So it was a fun spot to be in at the end of that day.
Oh yeah, and you guys were like the cheerleaders for the people, finishing that hill.
Yeah, we were telling everybody, great job, you did it. Unfortunately, people would ask us, "Oh, that was the last hill, right?" And we knew there were a few more hills going into Marshalltown, so we said, not quite there yet, but you're getting close anyway." So
yeah,
but yeah, just a lot of great conversations and meeting amazing people as part of RAGBRAI. So that was super fun.
So then, if that was your overnight stay, did you have to jump on the route the morning, or did you get like we call it a time warp, where you get time warp to Marshalltown?
We did take the RV into Marshalltown, knowing that those hills were there. We didn't want to start the day off that way, so we just drove into town and started off in the town of Marshalltown. So that's how we got the day started the next day.
Not to mention the extra miles it would have given you.
Yeah. We were okay not doing those 7 miles. We called it good enough. So.
Yeah. Well, do you recall any favorites, whether it's favorite food, favorite band, favorite community, that off the top of your head?
Yeah, I actually researched this because I know you had the question, and I wanted to make sure I gave this establishment a shout out.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. I can't remember where, all the days kind of run together after a while, but the breakfast town on day 4 was Gilbert, and we just kind of stumbled into this restaurant, and we had the best breakfast quesadilla that I had all week.
Wow.
It was delicious, and everybody in the group had one, and it was amazing. It was at a place called The Vault. I looked it up, and I guess it used to be an old bank, and the owner was named Amanda, and I think she had closed the restaurant earlier in the year, but reopened for the day for RAGBRAI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so the line was out the door, but luckily we found it, because I think we were looking for like a breakfast burrito, and some gentleman on the street said, "Oh, they're having quesadillas over there." And we walked in, and it was like the best food I had all week. So shout out to Amanda and her family for opening for the day and serving all the riders.
Yeah, those are the good Iowa nice stories right there.
Yeah, and one more, I guess. So my cousin Eric worked for the grocery store in Guthrie Center. He's worked there like forever, and I guess he had like cut and marinated and grilled like several hundred ribeyes for ribeye sandwiches that day at Guthrie Center, and so that was awesome. Had one of those, and just wanted to give him a shout out for working so hard, like so many folks do across the RAGBRAI towns. So
right, and I do recall somebody telling me that they had an amazing ribeye, and I don't recall where. So I'm just going to give him the credit as well.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Well, do you have any advice before we go? If you hear about somebody who's thinking about doing RAGBRAI?
I think, and you see this, I'm on the RAGBRAI Facebook page, and I think people, my advice would be don't overthink it. I think you can get caught up in everything, and trying to plan everything and have all the things, your T's crossed, your I's dotted, and just get out there and ride. And I think you can find everything you need on the route pretty much. And the other riders are so helpful. We all know the Air Force team helps everybody throughout the week, and this other folks are always looking to help people along the route. So don't get too worried. Enjoy the days, enjoy the nights. It's really an unforgettable experience. Both the people and Iowa hospitality. So just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and even when we have the heat or the hills or the wind or the storm, we're all doing it together. So we all kind of have the same experience in that respect. You know what I mean? So it's not like I can be like, "Oh, last night it was so hot in my tent." Well, along with 15,000 other people too, right?
Definitely, yeah. I think that's what my friends from Indiana that came out and have ridden with me twice. I think that's one of the biggest things for them, is just like experiencing the camaraderie. Like just like like you said, everybody's doing the same thing every day and just, out there for a good time. So it's just an environment that's hard to explain unless you experience it.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Well, thank you so much, Eldon, for coming on to tell your story, and hopefully you'll be back again next year.
I hope so. All right. Appreciate the time.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We have another rider on the Just Go Bike podcast. Hello, Kurt.
Hello, Murph. How are you?
I'm good. Tell everybody where you're from and what biking is like there.
Yeah, so my name's Kurt. I'm from Rosemount, Minnesota. It's about 30 minutes south of Minneapolis. The biking is pretty good here. I went to school at Iowa State, so I have a number of friends that still live in the Des Moines area. So it's always a treat to come down to the Des Moines area and hit the High Trestle Trail and the Raccoon River Valley Trail. And I would say the trails up here in Minnesota are pretty good as well. I'm a big fan of the Cicada, the Cannon Valley Trail. So there's a number of good trails up here as well in the Minneapolis area. I like to think too that the hills, they're not like those Western Iowa hills, but there are some hills in Minnesota that I can get to from where I live, which makes it good for training when you're training in the environment that's similar to what it would be on RAGBRAI.
Yeah, I was going to say the weather's very similar too, so you can experience the humidity too.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, how many RAGBRAIs have you done?
This is my fourth RAGBRAI.
Oh.
So I did RAGBRAI 50. That was my first. And then 51, 52, and now 53. So I've been hooked since 50.
I was going to say, it sounds like somebody's hooked.
Yeah.
And do you
If I survive RAGBRAI 50, I can survive any of them.
Anything, yeah. Yeah. If I were to compare the heat, and maybe I was just a little bit better as far as fitness goes, but I felt like 50th was hotter than this year, those first 2 days.
I agree. I think 50 was definitely hotter. And there's a lot that went into 50. I felt like we had everything: the heat, the headwinds, the humidity. Just with RAGBRAI 50, it was the crowds and all that went with it too. So I do think I was in much better shape now, 4 years in, because on RAGBRAI 50, my friend when we were thinking about doing RAGBRAI, I actually didn't even own a bike 2 months prior to RAGBRAI 50. And
my gosh.
My friend, he was my college roommate, my best friend, and he was like, "Do you want to do RAGBRAI this year?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have a bike, but it sounds fun." And so I ended up buying a bike, trained hard for those 2 months, didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like going in as a newbie, and it was just so much fun. And that's the reason why I come back every year. Is it's just, there's so much that goes into it. It's so much more than biking, it's, you're doing it with friends and family. You meet people in camp that you become, like, I've become friends with people that I met on RAGBRAI 50 that I'm still in contact with today and that I see on RAGBRAI annually. So, you meet friends, you chatting with all the locals in towns is super fun, kind of exploring all these small towns. So I like to explain that, it's more than the bike ride. It's talking with people, meeting friends, sleeping in tents,
right.
Eating ice cream for breakfast.
Actually eating everything outside, which is, kind of bizarre if you think about your regular life.
Yeah.
Did you do RAGBRAI this year with a team or solo or a charter?
So I was with the main campground, and I did it with my family. So my dad and sister, they also completed the full week as well. And then I have a few friends that I go on RAGBRAI with too. And my mom, she's our support driver too. And so we will see her in the meeting towns and the overnight towns. And we always we'll be camping in the main campground. So we did use a charter the first year. But I do really like the main campground. Seems like that's where the hub of all the action is, I suppose.
Yeah. So I was in the main campground. This was a very long time ago. I would almost say 20 years ago. And two things happened to me. First of all, they had set up showers for everybody, but they were like in a hog barn kind of situation. Like they had cleaned it out, but it's still, you knew where you were. So that was super interesting to me. They had made it work. I can't even remember the town. But then the other thing was I had a brand new tent and put it up. Didn't think anything about what it looked like. And then, you like go to the porta potties or take a shower. And then I had no clue what my tent looked like, where it was in a sea of tents. And I don't know if you've ever felt that panic where you're like, oh my God, I know it's here somewhere. And, crisis averted. I found it eventually, but that kind of stuff is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always a tough thing in the middle of the night when you get up to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
It's like, okay, now I got to go find my tent again.
Exactly. Yeah. So tell us about some of your experiences this year.
Yeah, I would say for me, the highlight was Dyersville and going to the Field of Dreams. That was super cool. I had never been there before, and it was always a bucket list thing for me. So when the route announcement party happened and the route was announced in January, Dyersville was immediately circled on my calendar.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. So I brought my baseball glove along, and so it was fun to like field balls, and people were going up to bat. And so it was fun to just like field balls and play catch on the Field of Dreams infield. So that was just super cool. My grandparents, they're from southeastern Wisconsin, and they actually drove from Wisconsin all the way to Dyersville to kind of share that moment and see the field.
Really?
With our family.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I hope you got a family photo at the field.
Yep. We did get a family photo with the house in the background. And then the morning of, I was there right away in the morning. And I also got a really cool picture that Dyersville Commercial, which is a local newspaper in Dyersville, they got a really good picture of me kind of standing and kind of admiring the field.
Oh, wow.
So I'm planning to get that one framed. So yeah, it was definitely a highlight. It was Dyersville.
So when I came through, I don't know, what timing versus when you were there, but by the time when I got there, there was just a couple people hitting the balls. By the time I left, there was like a line of probably 30 people that wanted to take a turn and actually get up to bat. And I think one of the Ghost players was pitching for a while, which was also so cool. But I did see a bunch of people in the outfield with gloves. So you were not the only one to come up with that great idea.
Yeah.
What else can you tell me about like some of your experiences, whether it's favorite foods, if there was a town that you remember?
Yeah, so I would say there's just so many towns that were fun and memorable, and that's what makes it so great. Our family, so like the day after RAGBRAI, we have a tradition that we'll like vote and rank like all the towns.
Oh, cool.
And so then we like kind of vote on like which towns we like the best. And this year we actually voted Elkhorn as the town we like the best. And there was just so much to do, like, and see like the museum, the troll, the windmill too. So we voted Elkhorn our favorite, but there's just so many good ones. I really liked the other ones. I would say would be Beeman and Gilbert. I like the vibe, like when you rode into town, like right away, you knew like this is going to be fun because the volunteers, you could really tell that they were into it, and that's what makes it great is the volunteers, the locals that you chat with in the towns.
And then you think about how like small the population is of all those towns that you mentioned, and somehow they can pull it off, getting 20,000 or more cyclists coming through their town in one day.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I loved seeing the troll and watching people see the troll. But then you're like, okay, that was cool, Elkhorn. Then you go, a half a mile, and you're like, wait a minute, here's the town of Elkhorn. And then there was so much more, like you said, to see.
Yeah. And with each of these towns, and to answer kind of your other question too about the food, is like, all these towns, they have food and, vendors and everything. And I'm big on like the ice cream. So everybody knows me as like the ice cream guy because I love to find like the local spots. I actually have a spreadsheet that I rank like all the ice cream places that I've ever been to. So I think I have the list at like 70 now, which
Whoa.
I've started tracking over the last few years with 14 different states. And of course, like I love Beekman's. I love our grandkids ice cream stand. Like I'll have those every year, but I always try to find like the local spots.
Yeah.
So this year I found in Ogden, Holy Cow Creamery. That was really good. And Millwork Creamery, I really like that one in Dyersville too. So when I said like, oh, ice cream for breakfast at 9, I was not kidding. I'm having ice cream at 9, and by that point it's kind of like your second breakfast.
Right. And so, okay, now I need to know more about this spreadsheet. Do you have rules like it can only be vanilla and I compare them all, or is it just the experience?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. So it's not just vanilla. Like I usually don't just order vanilla. Usually I try to find like if it has brownies or like cookie dough, that like catches my eye. So that's kind of what I'm looking for like right away. So yeah, it's just anything that catches my eye. I kind of base it off a few things. Obviously taste and just kind of over the overall like vibe and experience of everything. So yeah, there's plenty of RAGBRAI stops that I've made in the last few years that are on the list.
Awesome. And we maybe we can do it together, but for people listening to this podcast that haven't done RAGBRAI yet, you have to make Beekman's a must-see when you're on RAGBRAI. Will you tell everybody like what you see? Because it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, because it's like the tractor that's like making you can hear it basically before you see it almost.
Yep.
But yeah, Beekman's is definitely a must get when you're on the RAGBRAI route. Just like, Mr. Pork Chop. And I really like our grandkids ice cream stand too. They have a really good brownie sundae. So yeah, those are definitely must stops.
Yeah. Have you had ice cream since you got back from RAGBRAI?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so you're definitely an ice cream fanatic.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, Kurt, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing some of your experiences. And I love that I now know somebody who has a spreadsheet on their favorite ice cream places.
Yep. There's one more thing I'll say is, I'm a part of the RAGBRAI Facebook, one of the pages, and there's somebody that always comes out with where are all the Casey's, on the route, or you and AP do where are all the good coffee shops on the route. And so if somebody needs to know the good ice cream spots, I'm likely I have the list.
Excellent. We'll come back when we find out the route for RAGBRAI 54. We'll tune in to you and see if you already have some spots planned out.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks, Kurt.
Yep. Thanks, Murph.
We will be right back. Dear Friday, Toyota says let's put good times in gear with the Tundra, Tacoma, and 4Runner. Want some cool available features? We've got power tailgates to power game days and a trailer backup guide that's the champ of the ramp. Heck, we might even cancel Monday. Toyota Trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places. Now, back to the show.
Welcome to the podcast. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing just wonderful today. How about you, Murph?
Oh, I am doing amazing. It's so fun to be able to hear other people's perspective on how RAGBRAI was for them. So I'm glad to have you on.
I'm glad to be here. And as my friends would tell you, I have a perspective.
Oh.
I have one. It may be a little bit sideways or from someplace out of left field or out of the corn in Dyersville, but I've got a perspective.
Well, good. So, then you came to the right place, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, before we get into RAGBRAI specifically, tell the listeners where you live and if there is a cycling culture there.
There is a cycling culture here in Southern Illinois, which is, I live in Southern Illinois, just outside of St. Louis. I live east of St. Louis, and oftentimes that gets sadly confused with East St. Louis. I don't live in East St. Louis. I live in a town called Lebanon, Illinois, and I affectionately refer to it as Lebanon. I don't know why I call it Lebanon. I think that sounds funny in my head. Hopefully it sounds funny to somebody else, but it's just a small town surrounded by corn and beans, much like the entire state of Iowa. But yeah, we do have a strong cycling culture here, and we have hundreds of miles of trails that we're blessed with here. So that part of it's a lot of fun, and it's a great place to live.
And do you also do gravel if you're kind of rural?
Negatory.
Okay, you are a road guy.
I am a back road, farm to market road cyclist. So, although I did buy a new bike this year, I did everything they tell you not to do. I did get a new bike before RAGBRAI, and it was an all roads bike, so it's kind of gravel-esque, but I'm not a gravel guy. The guy, one of my buddies that comes every year is a gravel guy, but I'm not.
So I also typically ride gravel bikes, and it's just because the geometry of them fit me better, but also I like a little bit bigger tire. Like I don't need to have the tiny skinny tires because the road quality anywhere in the United States is not always set up for biking.
So many of our roads locally, especially the farm roads I ride north of town, are all chip and seal, old asphalt. I had no idea that these bigger tires were that big of a deal, but I would encourage anybody to get rid of the road tires and go to a bigger tire and don't inflate them as much and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, especially if you're not racing, because this is RAGBRAI is not a race.
I'm 260 pounds. The only thing that's racing to me is to the fridge, maybe. I'm not racing. I'm not a small guy.
Okay, so it sounds like you did RAGBRAI in 2026.
Yes.
Have you ever done it before? Was this your first year?
This was my fourth year, but in some respects, it was just my second year because the first year, you're just trying to figure out what to do, you know? And I probably raced it a little bit too much. The second year was the 50th year, and that year at times felt like survival, but it was long and hot, but we still enjoyed it. My third time and my fourth time, I feel like I've really eased into the culture of what RAGBRAI is all about.
Yeah.
Slowed down, had a lot more fun, stopped in every town, met mayors, shook hands with people, all of that, and really leaned in more to what RAGBRAI is all about. So yeah, the fourth time, but in some respects, just maybe the second or third time of really understanding and fitting into what it's all about. So it's cool.
And I would guess your fourth time this year, the way that you just described it was perfect because there were so many towns to pass through. And all of them just nailed it as far as getting things ready for us and having the homemade pie. And I heard not one, but two different cannons go off, just like the small town Iowa was like really showcased. But what are your thoughts?
You know, I thought the same thing. I just thought the whole wonderful culture of Iowa really does come through in small town Iowa. You know, you get a much better feel for the breadbasket, small town people that just love you, take care of you. You know, so all of that came through this year. I loved all of the little towns. You know, I think my favorite one was Beeman, just a little bitty town. They had all the trucks lined up out of town, said, you know, welcome and all of that. It was just fantastic. So yeah, this year was a great year to really experience small town USA. Loved it.
I think their tagline was, "You're not dreaming, you made it to Beeman," or something like that. It was amazing. I loved that town as well.
I saw multiple taglines. Some I think maybe like PG-13 rated, but you know, something about, you know, we've got better balls in Beeman and stuff. I didn't know what all was going on with that town. But did you go to the community center where they were serving breakfast that morning?
Oh gosh, yes. It was. If I remember right, it looked like a really long line outside, but then once you're in, they're like, go to the right, go to the left. And there were all these like, I don't know if they were church ladies, but they were all people that looked like they were locals and they were on it.
They were so on it, and you're right. The line did move quick. It did look long. It was a little daunting, but I'm glad we went in. Me and my buddy that we ride with every year, we both went in. You buy a $5 ticket. They got 3 different options. Did you see these two of these options are hilarious? So it's either pancakes and sausage, or it was pancake tacos. And do you know the difference, Murph, between pancakes and sausage and pancake tacos?
I don't think I do. Tell me.
Well, this is wonderful. You're getting ready to learn something about Beeman. So pancakes and sausage is a plate with 2 pancakes and 2 sausage on it. And a pancake taco is 2 pancakes with a sausage inside each pancake, sort of rolled up, but basically it's the same thing on a plate. So it's the craziest dang thing I've ever seen in my life.
So did between you and your friend, did one of you get one of each to see if they actually, tasted different?
Actually, yes. Yeah, I had both, and they did not taste any different. One did not taste a little more Mexican-esque than the other. I had both of those, but the winner for that day scared. I did not buy it at first because I didn't understand what a ham ball was, and a ham ball did not sound very appetizing to me at all. But I did get them, and I'm glad that I did. So ham balls. Do you know what ham balls are?
I do, but go ahead.
I didn't know what ham balls were, but it's ground up ham, ground up sausage. I think there was a ground beef in there as well, egg, all rolled up into a ball. And then they had some kind of a sweet sauce over the top of it with brown sugar and other stuff. It kind of had a little bit of a reddish or I don't know what all was in there. Strawberry color. I don't know what was in that, but the sweet sauce, and those were phenomenal. And yes, you're right. It was like every grandmother from within 50 miles was there serving breakfast.
Yes.
And it was so darn good. I mean, every breakfast is good when you're hungry and you've just ridden 25 miles, right? But that one was fantastic. So life in Beeman with ham balls and pancake tacos was the best.
Which
it
now,
was fantastic.
Now that sign or that, that you mentioned about having the best balls in Beeman, that now it makes sense. It was ham balls.
Balls.
And that was one of the few places for me that I got to sit inside because it was a really big community center. But there is something to be said about somebody flipping pancakes in the middle of a farm in nowhere, Iowa, or somewhere, Iowa. I shouldn't say nowhere.
Nowhere.
And how good they taste.
I know. Yeah, it's fantastic. And there was a Matt Phippen sighting there.
Oh.
He I think he knows somebody in Beeman because he walked in like he owned the place, walked right behind the line where all the grandmothers were serving ham balls, was chit-chatting with somebody, and the next thing you know, he's back off and doing his thing. But no, it was funny, but I did see him there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. He didn't sign my jersey or anything like I wanted, but maybe next time.
I bet he would have if you would have.
Thought I had a Sharpie.
If you would have, gotten away from the ham balls and went up there and talked to him.
Well, you're right. I was not getting up to get him to sign anything. I was focused on the ham balls.
Well, any other memorable experiences that you want to share?
Let me go back to the beginning. So I was a salesman living in Illinois, and I was traveling through Iowa one year. This is maybe 10 or 15 years ago. I don't remember when. I'm kind of older. So if I say something was 10 or 15, it could be 20 or 25, who knows? So, and I'm on some back road in Iowa headed to a lumber yard for work, and pull up to this intersection, and there's a state patrol officer standing there, and bikes are going by. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? It's maybe like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I'm trying to get to work. And the guy turns around and he goes, "Hey, you need to just turn around and go back." And silly me, I said, "Oh, I'll just wait." Right? It's literally hundreds of, and I didn't know what RAGBRAI was. So I'm looking at this going, what the heck are these people doing? And why are there so many of them? And why are they riding bikes in Iowa in the middle of the summer this early in the morning?
Right.
And I stand there and I get out of my car and I stand there and I start talking to the police officer. He's nice, right? He's Iowa nice, just like Iowa nice is. And next thing you know, everybody's waving at us, right? As they go by, all these people are waving, and so he tells me what RAGBRAI is, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And I standing there on the side of that road, and someplace south of Decorah, I think. I don't know the road or anything. It's too many years ago, but I just remember saying, "I'm going to do this. This is the coolest dang thing I've ever seen. I'm going to do this." And so I remember I went home and I bought a bike. Didn't ride it for like 5 years, but I had the bike.
Oh,
and
wow.
and then eventually made the decision to go do it. And I'm so glad I did. I've met great people, got to travel all over the state of Iowa, and it's fun, right? It's a blast.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
just think, it was all about attitude, because that same situation, you could have been like, this is putting a wrench in my day, and I don't like bikes. I don't like the state patrol. But instead you chose to be influenced by the situation.
Maybe there was some of that. I don't know. Maybe I forgot all of the part that I'm going to be late to where I'm going, but certainly it was very distracting.
Yeah.
But I do remember all these crazy people in tight pants just driving by, waving over and over. And I do remember that vividly, and it was kind of on a little bit of an uphill climb, and they weren't going super fast. So it was but yeah. No, I fell in love with it right then and there. And, yeah, it was cool. It's one of the coolest things I've seen. And then to be a part of it 4 times is even cooler.
Yeah. And then the magic question, do you think you'll come back for a 5th time?
I know we will. And I say we, I always come with Padres Cycle in every year. They bring the charter bus up from St. Louis. I've gotten to know so many people that are on the bus every year. I've gotten to know, Dave and Jimmy and Susie that own Padres, and we've become friends. And so, yeah, it's great to ride up there, do the whole camping thing the whole week. Although Padres makes it pretty easy to camp, kind of glamping a little bit, but yeah, I'll be back. And now that we've done it 2 years in a row, I don't see any reason why me and a couple other people that I hang out with every year now won't do it again next year.
Yeah.
So we got another buddy over in Kansas City that usually rides it with us. He didn't this year, but we harassed him all week with text messages and pictures saying, "Gary, where you at, buddy? You need to be here with me and Ross. You're missing out." And I think he's got a 70th birthday coming up. So we'll probably try to lure him out next year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And if we got to put him on an e-bike, we'll do that. If we got to drag him behind us in a cart, maybe we'll do that too. I don't know. We got to figure out how to get him back out there with us so we can go have our fun in Iowa for the hot week in July.
And as you know, and everyone listening knows, there are 1,000 different ways to do RAGBRAI. So whatever works for Gary and you guys, we'll be ready for you.
I know, isn't that the fun part too? I think so many people now know Danny on the unicycle. I can't remember the guy's name that rides it backwards.
Will.
The roller skaters. Will. Yeah, Will. Have you ever seen the size of Will's legs?
Yes.
That dude is like a monster.
We did an episode with him, and he kind of talked about how, his body structure, how it's different because of the way he pedals.
Yeah, he's just a raw, muscled up athlete is what he is.
Yes, exactly.
I'm the opposite of that. I am not a muscled up athlete. I'm just a guy that gets on a bike and has a lot of fun.
Has fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Bill. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And hopefully Gary's listening to this right now, and he's like, well, I guess I'm going back to Iowa next year.
Exactly. And kudos to you and AP for putting this whole podcast together. It's fun to listen to you guys. It's fun to give a platform for RAGBRAI and Matt as he unrolls the route every year. So it's just a great communication piece back to all of us out here that wish RAGBRAI happened every week.
Yeah,
and,
awesome.
We have to live for that 1 week of the year, right?
That's
so
right,
thanks
yes.
for doing your part too. So we appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great week.
Next up, I am with John. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Good. Tell the listeners where you're from and how many RAGBRAIs you've done.
Well, I'm originally from Dubuque, Iowa, the terminus site of the most recent RAGBRAI, but I currently live in the Chicago suburbs.
Okay. And so when you were in Dubuque as a youngster or whenever you were there, did you know anything about RAGBRAI?
Of course I did. I'm 65 years old, and I actually remember when RAGBRAI started. In Dubuque, we had two large city sources for our radio and TV and news, and one of them was Chicago, of course, and the second was Des Moines. And so every Sunday, my parents bought the Des Moines Register, and we would, sift through it for all kinds of things. But I remember when they started RAGBRAI, and it started to get off the ground, and it was an interesting thing. And for many of us in my family, we would kind of look at it with curiosity. And there's a few of us younger ones that always thought, you know what, it would be really neat to do that one day.
And how many times have you done it?
Well, this was my first in 2026.
Gosh, how cool is that? So 65 years old, you said, and what made you wait until this age to try your hand at riding your bike across Iowa?
Well, I guess first off is that it was a great unknown to me. It was something that I didn't have the vaguest idea about how to even get started. I had questioned my physical ability to do it. I've always been very active and have done a lot of bike riding. The town I live in, we're very connected to regional bike trails. And so, but it was never something that like I said, it was a lot of unknown, and it was not something that I knew how to really get started with it. So and then you also need time off work, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of things that have to align for you to be able to do this. And fortunately, this year was the first year that happened.
Wow. Well, tell us about your experience. Like, how was it for you?
It was great. So a little backstory. Over a year and a half ago, I was in perfect health and things were going well in my life. And then one day I came home from work and my leg was swollen up. And I teach college, and so it was in the evening, and went to the emergency room, and turns out that I had extensive deep vein thrombosis, blood clots in my leg, and pulmonary embolisms, which could have killed me.
Right.
And this was completely out of the blue, and it was a real surprise. And that left me pretty much not able to do much for about 8 months.
Wow.
Until a lot of that kind of, recovered. We're not sure whatever caused that health issue. And so I'm on blood thinners the rest of my life. But prior to that, the year prior to that, I had something else happen. I had was at a meeting one night, and I got to get up to stand up from the chair, and my lower back muscles felt like they all ripped out. And I could barely walk or sit or do anything. So that started the downward spiral of my health. Up until then, I had been just really active and really healthy. And then all of a sudden, I found myself unable to walk and unable to really get up out of a chair without assistance. And it took weeks for that to start to get better, and then sciatica set in. And that, over a 6-month period, got progressively worse to the point of where I was walking with a cane, and I had a disabled placard on my vehicle. And I was using, the motorized carts to get around in the grocery stores and such. So there was that went on for about 8-9 months. And then only weeks after that had started to really clear up did I come up with the blood clots.
Wow.
And that was another 8 months or so. And so this past spring, around the first of this year, I finally was getting back on my feet and able to do some more activities. And then, of course, this spring, I think around January, February, sciatica hit again.
Oh.
Out of the blue, I just literally bent over to put a sock on, and that was it. It was as though all my lower back muscles had ripped out immediately. And so it was that whole thing again for about 5 months. As I was getting better, I learned about RAGBRAI. And and when I heard about RAGBRAI this year, and it was ending in my hometown, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's right at my doorstep of my hometown. And interestingly, the route was going right past the grade school that I went to grade school at in our old neighborhood. And the dip site for the tires was only a few hundred feet from the spot my dad took us kids fishing on summer weekends as a child.
Wow.
And part of my thought was, I've got to be a part of this.
Yeah, and I'm sure that people who are listening to this episode are shaking their head that they have probably experienced, the back pain and the sciatica like you are describing. And I personally haven't, but I know people that have, and it's really hard to get back to normal life.
It is. So I checked with my doctors and they're all like, yeah, I mean, there's no reason you can't ride a bike. Actually, we encourage it. It's good for your circulation. It's good for your health. And at your age, it's good to be active. So why not? So starting a few months ago, I started to get on my bicycle as soon as the weather got warm enough here to do so, and started to just train on my bicycle. I started with going a mile. And then I ended up going 3 miles, and then I bumped that up to 5. And eventually I got it up one day to 40 miles.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, this is it. I can do this. I know I can do at least one day. And as the time got closer, I figured I could do more. And so I did the Independence to Dubuque part. And it was just wonderful. It really was wonderful. It was my homeland. It goes in my hometown, and the towns my dad and mom would take us and drive us through when we went camping and outings on weekends. And it was just great.
And I felt like, I don't know if you did as well, but those last 10 miles within the borders of Dubuque, the town, were kind of emotional because people were cheering and it was just so beautiful. And you're thinking, wow, I made it. I did it. And then you had the added emotions of your childhood. So how cool is that?
Yeah, all the connections to my life and the area that I love so much. And what was really great is, the Dyersville experience, the Field of Dreams. I heard a podcast or an interview with the person who is the head of RAGBRAI. And he said that they actually reached out to RAGBRAI, the Field of Dreams owners, about 3-4 years ago and said, hey, we're going to be rebuilding the site. We're going to be building this Major League Baseball stadium for future games. We expect it to be finished around the time of RAGBRAI in 2026. Would you consider bringing your route through here? And so we literally got the doors thrown open to us and a preview of this site before the first game in this new facility happens in a couple of weeks. And that was just wonderful. And then the ride continued on through, these other little towns like Manchester that I remember as a child. And that was great. And then we went through Centralia, which is this, I don't know, you're blinking, you miss it. But my nephew lives there with his wife and their kids and their grandkids and their daughter-in-law is the mayor, and she's in her younger 20s, and
she just had
has twins, right? And then another niece of mine and her children showed up, and it was like, I bike into town, and there's my family.
Wow,
and it was just really great. That was just wonderful.
Yeah.
The other thing too is coming into Dubuque. When you live there all your life, and it's very hilly, you always kind of fantasize about, I wish the cars were all off the road and I could just fly down these hills on a bicycle or on a sled in the middle of winter. And I actually got to do that.
It was
great.
Those were some hills, man. I think somebody I interviewed said that they got up to 47 miles an hour, which for me is way, way faster than I would want to be going.
Scary.
But,
scary.
But even going 30 miles an hour, I mean, it's a little bit of an adrenaline rush.
It is, yeah. Yeah. And the people that came out, just everybody was loving, caring, encouraging, if not lying, because and I'm joking when I say that kind of, we came to a spot up I think Pennsylvania or something. He said the last big hill or the last hill. And I looked at that sign and I went, I know this town. I don't think that is the last one. And so you keep going. There's another sign, like half a mile up. This is the last hill. And I said to the guy, I said, you know what? There was a sign like this about a mile back. He said, oh, they were lying. I said, how do I know you're not lying? And we had a big laugh about that. And clearly it was not the last big hill.
Oh, see, I remember I got my photo taken in front of a sign that said, this is the last hill.
I've got the same photo.
Yeah. And, I'm like, oh, that guy's lucky that I'm not going to go back there and shake my fist at him.
That was funny.
Oh, good for him. So do you think you'll come back and do RAGBRAI again, or do you think it's a one and done?
No, it's not a one and done. So I felt, I should say, brave enough to really try to do a couple days at my age. And then I get out there and everybody's my age and older. I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I'm going to keep with this and I'll bump it up next year. Just some more days. I feel comfortable with that now that I know how it works and all of that. I have a real comfort level with it, and it's just such a great experience. And everybody is wonderful. It's like a small town on wheels.
Yeah, it sure is. And we're all in it for the same, for different reasons, but we're all in it together. Meaning we're all on our bicycles. We all have the same goal, and that's one of the things I love about it.
Everybody cares about each other and everybody looks out for each other.
Yeah. Well said, John. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast to share your story.
Sure.
And hopefully we can have you on again next year and you can tell us about what was different next year.
Let's hope so.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike.
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.